Welcome back. Today I'm going to try to solve some puzzles on chess.com. If you're new to my channel, I'm not a titled player or a chess coach. I'm just a random person trying to get better at chess. And one of the ways that I do that is try to solve chess puzzles. I feel like I got a little bit lucky in my previous puzzle solving video. There were 6 puzzles and about half of them, I think I just got the right move because I eliminated everything else. And I wasn't really confident about the move that I made, but it was the only one that I couldn't find anything wrong with. So hopefully I haven't gotten to a place in the puzzle rating here where they're going to be too difficult for me, but that might be the case. I do use a checklist when I'm trying to solve these puzzles. I start with checks and evaluate those, and then captures, and then threats. Here I do have a couple of checks, no, just one. Yeah, I think that's my only check, and that's probably not good. Let's see, do I have any captures? Other than the bishop and the pawn and that pawn, I think those are the only captures that I have in this position. And I'm pretty bad at looking for threats, so what should I do here? I think in a game I would be really tempted to take this g2 pawn because it looks like I would then win the rook. However, I think if I take that pawn, I think they're just going to bring their queen out here, protected by the knight. And then I could trade queens and they'll get their knight out and they'll be missing a pawn, but that can't be winning, can it? I mean, I still might do that in the game because I would go up a pawn. Am I up? I think we're even on material right now. We both have 2 bishops, 2 knights, all our pieces, and we both have 7 pawns. So I would go up a pawn here, and assuming that's the best move for my opponent, I think that it probably is, because that's what I've played when opponents have done this to me. And I take the queen, and then they get their knight out. They've got 3 pieces developed, but I think I would be a little confident because they would be missing that 1 pawn. And I just have to develop 1 piece before I can castle. But I don't think that's the answer to this puzzle. So what is the answer to this puzzle? What are threats? I can threaten the bishop with the pawn, but it can just go back. Or it could go forward. Like, maybe it would do that, and then, it's protected by this pawn, and I would have to move my queen, so maybe that's not good. I can threaten their queen by developing a piece. It would be protected by my knight, but I think they would just block with the pawn, and then I would have to move my bishop, and where would I put it? I mean, just come back one? Then what have I accomplished? I don't know. Well, that'll be pretty embarrassing to miss the first puzzle here in this video. So in the cases where I literally just cannot see any move that is quote unquote winning, I'm just going to do what I would do in a game. And like I said, I would probably take that pawn. They're going to, I assume, put the queen here. I'll take it. They'll get their knight out. But then I don't know what to do after that. And oh wait, is it going to be pushing this pawn? Because they're going to have 2 pieces right there and I'll get to fork them? If it goes that far, this might be the wrong move to start with. Okay, wait, did I figure it out? Surely it has to be taking the queen. Nothing else makes sense here, right? You don't want to just run away. Well, if I did run away, not there. I mean, I could run away here so that when they take me, I would have my knight in there, but I don't think that's a big deal. I'm going to take the queen. Okay, it's still going. Was it the pawn thing, like I said? Wait, if I move that pawn, then... Oh, the pawn's hanging anyway. The pawn is hanging anyway. 2 different ways. So if I push it and they take my knight, do I take the bishop with the pawn? And then let them get away with their bishop? And then take another pawn? Yeah, I don't know what to do if they take my knight, which is what I am now assuming they're going to do, because if I take back, then my pawns are messed up and they can just take this one. Oh my. I'm going to push the pawn. Oh, they did. Oh, it's still going. Oh no. Okay, it's one of these 2. Or I guess it could be taking the knight. Let me see. Let me count material here. We've both lost a queen, and I've lost a knight. So I'm down a piece right now from where we started. Oh, and up a pawn. I got one of their pawns. Okay, so I'm down 2 points of material from where we started. If I take the bishop on f6 with this g-pawn, and then they'll get my pawn. So I won't be up the pawn anymore, and we'll be even on material, and I'll have doubled my pawns. But if I take the bishop now, or the knight, then we'll be even on pieces, but I'll still be up the pawn. Because I assume they're going to save their dark squared bishop by probably bringing it all the way back. And I won't have doubled my pawns. So it's probably one of these 2. Okay, how to determine from those 2 which one it is. If I take their bishop, they can take back. If I take their knight, they can't take back yet, but they would be able to very soon. Because my pawn would be stopped in its tracks. They would retract their dark squared bishop, and then they would put their bishop here and pick off that pawn, I assume. But if I go this way, they can come back. No, they wouldn't take back. They wouldn't take back because they have to save their bishop first. And then I take another pawn, and then they have to save their knight because I'm about to promote. No, I wouldn't promote because their bishop's there. So I take the bishop. I assume they bring theirs back. I take the pawn, which is then threatening the knight. So they would probably move the knight. Is it going to go that far? Oh, no. I don't know. I'm going to take the bishop. Oh, it stopped there. Theme was trapped piece. What? Which piece was trapped? My queen got trapped down there. Not really. I could, like I said, I could have escaped. Their bishop wasn't trapped either. I think the theme was fork, a pawn fork. Am I really winning though? Because again, they're going to save the bishop. They're going to have 3 pieces. I've got 3 pieces, 3 minor pieces each, plus the 2 rooks. And I would just be up a pawn. Well, no, because again, I'll take this one. But they'll get it back before long. Wow. Okay. Sorry, I'm not convinced. I'm going to the analysis board. Okay, it was about even until they put that bishop there, and then suddenly I'm up -3.5, but only if I take here. Okay, that was their best move. About 3.5 still. I take back probably their best move to, take back with the knight. And we know that e4 was my best move, and yeah, it was their best move to take my knight. If I take back here, I'm still ahead. Oh no, I thought I saw that for a second. If I take back there, am I not ahead? But I'm still ahead no matter which one of these I take. Whether I take the knight or the bishop with this e-pawn, I'm still ahead. It's just that I'm more ahead if I take the bishop. But depending on which one I do, they're going to put their bishop in a different place. Okay, so I did the right thing. Oh, okay, it doesn't really matter if they go to h4 or b2. And then either way, or g5, it's changed its mind. It says they might just want to go to g5. But their best move is b2. That's what I thought. And then I'm going to take this pawn, okay, and then they're going to get the knight out. And that pawn's not going anywhere. We're pretty sure of that. And yeah, we both have 2 rooks. We both have 3 minor pieces. And I'm just up 2 pawns, as well as having separated, their pawns into these 3 islands here. They have 3 lone pawns that don't have a pawn beside them that can help. Whereas all 6 of my pawns, are in groups here where they can help each other. Almost -4 for that, for those 2 pawns. And I haven't developed any pieces. Look at that. All their minor pieces are developed. Yeah, all 3 of their minor pieces are developed. They're ready to go. They probably just need to put a rook here and hit that pawn and it's gone. And then they can just casually put their king over there while I mess around getting my pieces out. Yeah, if I had done that in a game and came to this position, I wouldn't know I was ahead. I would know I wasn't behind, but okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to go on so long with that one puzzle, but I don't understand it. I think maybe I got lucky because nothing else made sense. Next. All right, again, we have started a puzzle by putting the bishop on b2. This time everything else is different. Let's see, are we even on material? I have 4 minor pieces, they have 4 minor pieces. 2 rooks and a queen just like them. Am I up a pawn? It looks like I might be up a pawn because, wow, I have all my pawns. I have all 8 pawns and it looks like they're down the h pawn. So is that significant in some way? These bishops are looking at each other. I don't know how relevant that is. Let's go back to the checklist. Do I have any checks? No, I cannot check because their pawn's in the way. Well, actually, I do have 1 check. I'm pretty sure that's not a good idea. Just, you know what? Let's evaluate it. They're going to take back. And I do not have a follow-up check or capture or anything. So that's not it. Okay, captures. That's 1 capture. That's a capture. And that's it. Well, let's evaluate those. If I take this f-pawn with my queen, they're going to take back with something. Maybe the pawn, maybe the knight. I'm not sure. If I take their bishop, let's assume they'll take back. And then I offer a queen trade. That doesn't seem good either, right? Because, I mean, they might take it and I'll get my knight out. But I'm still just 1 pawn up. If they don't take it, they just move out of the way, then what do I do? I guess I could threaten their queen. I could put this knight over here, or then what? And then what? They have to move the queen? But they're just going to move it someplace where they can keep guarding the bishop, I assume. Oh, but then I could pick off that pawn, and I would have 2 pieces on the bishop. Wait, maybe that's it. Okay, I'm usually pretty bad at finding threats, but that looks all right. It's a casual, not that serious threat on the queen, but the queen has to move. Where does it go? It wants to keep defending the bishop, right? So the only places it can defend the bishop from are these 3 squares. Sorry, not that one. Those 3 squares are all safe from the knight and continue to protect the bishop. I don't think they would move forward because that's where my bishop is. So if it moved to c1, then obviously this check would be a fork and I would win their queen. But what if they moved to d2? Then they just take my knight. Oh, but then I would get the bishop and I would have just picked up a pawn. Also, now that I look at the board a little more, it looks like white's had more moves than I have, doesn't it? It does look like they've had more turns. Look at almost all their pawns have moved. All their pawns except their a pawn has moved. I've only been able to move 2 pawns. I've only got this bishop out and that knight, and then who knows how this queen got over there. That took a few moves probably, but look at all the development that they've got. I'm going to go ahead and play knight to b4, but I don't know if they just, oh, no. Okay, I've had a hard time seeing knight forks the last few weeks, I guess, but I think what would happen if they did that, I would take the bishop, and if they took back, then I check, and it's a fork on their queen. But if they go somewhere else, actually, we already said it would be a fork if they went back. So, okay, so what if they go back here then? I play knight to b4, they go to b1, Oh, I just take the bishop because I'm going to hop in here. Okay, let's put the knight on b4 then. Oh, they went that way. Okay, it's got to be taking the bishop, right? Oh, that's not what I thought they were going to do. Okay, now what do I do? I'm not sure. Do I just bring the bishop back? No, if I bring the bishop back, they take my knight. Wait, do I take this pawn? But then they just take my knight, and then I guess then my bishop is safe, but because I went up a piece, right? Okay. Oh no. Yeah, this makes me want to reset my puzzle rating and start over back at 400, but I've already done that. This is the 4th time that I've started at 400 and worked my way up, and I think I got higher than this once or twice, so I don't want to stop before I get to 22 or 2300. I think my high is actually around 2300, but I don't know what to do. If I bring the bishop back, they get the knight. If I take the pawn, they get my knight, but I've gone up another pawn. If I bring the knight back, they get my bishop. Actually, if I just did anything besides save the bishop, they can get it. That's not safe. That's not safe. That's not safe. But at least, wait. What about here? That saves the bishop and saves the knight. But this way, the bishop is safe and it protects the knight. Does that seem good? Oh my. Okay, let's try it. Wait, and the theme is bishop pair? Well, I mean, I do have the bishop pair now, but I think I'm just up a piece, right? Well, on my end, that was 22 minutes for 2 puzzles. But fortunately, I usually go at least half an hour on my end, so that means at least 1 more puzzle. Oh my, let's go. Here I am down a pawn. Okay, I have a kingside majority, but they have a center pawn. It's a passed pawn. But we're even on material otherwise, except I have a knight for their bishop. Do I have any checks? Let's look at that first. I have a check with the rook. I have 2 checks with the knight. And I think that's it. Well, let's say I check with the rook. Let's try that one first. The knight's protecting it. The king can't come out this way. Its own pieces are in the way here. So it would go out the other way. Well, not here because my rook's covering that, right? My knight's hitting here. My rook's covering all of these squares. So they would only have 2 choices. If they came toward the knight, then I guess I could check again. But then they could come toward the knight again. Okay, what if I check with the knight? I'm not going to check over there, so let's say what if I check with the knight on f6? They can just come toward it, and I haven't accomplished anything. Okay, so maybe it's not a check, but I don't have any captures. Maybe it's a threat. What if I bring this rook over one? Because then they wouldn't be able to get out when I checked them. What would they play if I brought my f rook over to e1, cutting off the entire e file, where my c rook is cutting off this c file, and their own pieces are on the d file. So then I would just need to check them. What do they play? Oh, I bet that's it. I bet it's rook to e1. But then what do they play? They have to move that rook someplace so that their king will have an escape route. So let's say I play rook to e1. They might move their rook one way or the other, challenging my rooks protected by their king and giving their king a way out when I check with the knight or the rooks. Okay, yeah, I don't know what to do if they bring the rook over. But let's look at it. Okay, I put the rook on e1, which again cuts off these 2 files so their king can't escape. I assume they're going to move their rook to one or the other. Let's just take each of those in turn. What if they put their rook on c1? Threatening my rook. I don't want to take it because they take back, and then I think the trades benefit them at this point because they have a passed pawn. They would love to trade off all their pieces, I think. Okay, so I wouldn't take it. Okay, but then I could check with the knight. Their king would have to go back, and then is that mate? I think it is. Okay, so what if the rook comes this way? Does that still work? Check with the knight. The king still has to go back. Okay, I think it's mate in 2 or 3. Oh, I'm probably missing something. They went that way. Now let's just keep calm, put the knight on f6, which is a check. Their king cannot go to the c file. It cannot go to the e file. It has to go back. It has to go back to d8, and the c file is still cut off. This file is still cut off, and now that square's cut off too, and I'm going to put my rook on e1. Sorry, e8. I'm pretty sure... Is that it? I'm almost at 30 minutes here, but I'm so close to 2200. I want to keep going because it's been a while since I've reached a milestone. It's been a long time getting up through the 2100s. Oh my, I'm glad I found that, but it took me a long time to see that I might have a mate there. Let's try one more and hopefully it won't take too long. Oh, on this one, I'm way down on material, right? I don't have a queen. I have 2 bishops, a knight, and a rook, but they have 2 knights and a bishop, and 2 rooks and a queen. So that must mean I have something serious, like a mate. It's almost certainly a mate if I'm that far down on material and it's a puzzle. So let's look at their king. Their king can't go here because of the pawn. Their king can't go here because of my rook or here because of my bishop. So right now the king has 2 squares that it can escape to. What if I checked? Let's look at the checks. I can check with the rook on c8 which cuts off these two, but it allows the king out to d6, where I could check with the bishop that's currently in trouble, which then will cut off all of these squares. Then the knight and bishop are both cutting off e6, so the king would have to come this way into the middle, e5. Then how would I check it again there? I would have to bring my rook back. Is that mate? I probably am going to misremember the move order here. But just to be sure, if I check here, that's protected by the bishop. Cuts it off this rank and this file. The pawn's cutting off here. The bishop is cutting off there. They have one legal move. This bishop check, bishop to b4. Cuts this off. That's cut off by the bishop and the knight. Gives them one legal move. And then bringing the rook back, because my pawn's cutting off here, the knight is guarding the bishop, and then the rook would be hitting this whole file. Okay, so I think this is a mate in 3. Oh, please let that be it. Okay. And then this check, because it's not this one, because the pawn's guarding that square on f4, so it's probably b4. Oh, I forgot they could block with the bishop. Oh my. Okay, but my rook's guarding that, so I can just take it. And I think everything else still holds true. My rook is still defended, and it's still cutting off this. My bishop's still cutting off this. Once I take, my bishop will be cutting off these squares. I have to go here. Okay, taking it. Oh, it stopped? Well, and it says mate in 3+, but we didn't go to check. This isn't checkmate, right? Yeah, that's not checkmate. What? I did break 2200 though, so I'm done now, but I'm going to look at the analysis board because I don't think that was checkmate. Sorry. Yeah, it's still mate in 2, and they only have one legal move like I said. Oh, and I was wrong. This isn't mate. They can block with the knight, but then I would take it. But also I can play f4 now. They would take with their g-pawn, and then I would play rook to e8. Well, that's just delaying the inevitable, so why didn't the puzzle continue with this move, only legal move, and mate? Although it says I could play this first and let them take, and then take the knight, but again, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that puzzle should have kept going. The f4 thing that's pointless. Or they should have built the puzzle to allow f4. Well, hopefully I have edited out a bunch of the time that I took up with those first 2 puzzles. And I'm glad I made it to 2200. I don't know how much further I can keep going. These are getting pretty hard. This one was not that hard. The material imbalance at the beginning alerted me immediately that you have a mate. That's not the case in a game. Usually in a game, when you're down that many points of material, you're just playing for fun at that point, or you resign. Or some of you just leave the game and let your opponent wait. That happens to me a lot, and it's pretty frustrating. Yeah, don't do that. Just resign if you don't want to keep playing. I also have opponents offer a draw, but because it's a puzzle, I knew that I have a winning move, and that far down on material, the winning move is almost certainly a checkmate. Their king was kind of out in the middle, and that led me pretty close to it. But those first few were nothing like that. Anyway, thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.